That was fairly lucky. I think I went online with about 35 clients, lost half of them, and then we just built up from that particular point. We'd gone from like 15K a month to like 40 overnight pounds. My bank balance, it was literally doing this. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with all this money. We're sitting here at this point, we're theoretically on track for another 100K. And that's me taking absolutely everything.
You've hit multiple 100K months. What's the biggest lie people believe about getting to 100K a month in the first place?
People have become desensitized to what it takes to get to a 100K month. If you pick the right demographic and you have the right offer, at some point everyone, certainly with the help that's available, should be able to hit it.
All right, we're here with Andy. Andy's hit multiple 100K months, and he's going to break down exactly how he got there, as well as exciting topics to talk about around AI, LinkedIn, Dial-In, the Instagram platform changes, and what you should best do as well with different strategies, and what he would do as well if he started all again tomorrow. So Andy, do you want to quickly intro yourself as well? Just a little background, because I know there's a lot more to cover as well.
Sure. First of all, great to be here again. Always a pleasure. My name's Andy Naylor. I run Naylor Body Design. I've been coaching, I think, for about 25 years. I know you wouldn't tell. I know that. But coaching a very long time. I started as an online PT. I started as an in-person PT, coaching people, probably like most people did. So did that for about 5 years, got quite sick and tired of doing that. Decided to take my business fully online in the September of 2019. Which at that particular point, it wasn't what it is now, that's for sure. There were a few people doing online coaching, but not a lot. It wasn't a massive thing. And 4 or 5 months later, global pandemic. So that was fairly lucky. I think I went online with about 35 clients, just me, no one else at the time. Lost half of them, and then we just built up from that particular point. And then it's make your first hire, get your first coach, et cetera, and it's build and build and build. And then it's led us to the point where we're now a completely fully online coaching organization, coaching a very specific demographic, I think, which is important. Now just tailoring things and the goal now for us is keeping things as simple as we possibly can in terms of the delivery of what we do, but also everything in the background. And I'm sure we're going to dive into that today. But that's me and where I am.
100%. So first thing is, I know a lot of people do want context on who's selling what, who they're selling to, niche, offer, price points as well, just so they have context around your business. What does that look like for you right now, and how did that change across the years?
In terms of demographic, so probably like anybody or everybody, when we first started, I would coach anybody that would pay us, which is it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with that either, because I think also when you do that, you're trying to work out who do you want to coach, and if you don't try everybody at some particular point, you don't know where you want to go. So to start with, it was everybody, like Gen Pop. Then as I started to compete and win shows, I thought, I want to coach people getting on stage. Then realised those people are pretty much skint, and also it's extremely high pressure. It takes a hell of a lot to get someone on stage. It's really worth doing, and it's good for the experience, but it's not who I wanted to particularly coach. So then as the business started to grow and we started to get, I still remember getting our first international client, and then things grew quite quickly, and then there's like a team of 5 people. And I started to get indications what it feels like to run a business, like be a CEO, albeit of a very small organization, but still moving parts. And I sort of started to think, well, in my mind, the best avatar, the best person to help is us 5 or 10 years ago. So it's our journey, but we don't know what we already know. So I thought, well, why don't I just go and try and find busy business people who are further down the road in terms of being a busy business person than I am, but don't know everything I know in terms of how to look after their stress, their sleep, their everything. And so that's how we started to slowly pivot towards that, while at the same time not being the biggest fan of content and making it and the sort of merry-go-round of that. LinkedIn at that particular point in 2002, organic was easy for a few particular reasons. It was the golden era. It's not like that anymore. So we were doing particularly well organically, but immediately started running ads, which means not a lot of content needed for me. We could run ads, have a relatively predictable system of just getting leads in. And that's how we got to sort of working with that particular demographic. And to be honest, that is... Well, right now, that's 100% of our revenue. It comes from LinkedIn. We do a little bit on Instagram. I could lose my Instagram account. Don't particularly want to, but I could lose my Instagram account. It'd make no difference to my business whatsoever. Nothing. In fact, it'd be one less place I need to post content.
Yeah. So, you've hit multiple 100K months. What's the biggest lie you feel that people believe about getting to 100K a month in the first place?
So a couple of things. One, I guess that it should be easy because we can all go online. And in this new world, and I say new world because it makes me sound fucking old, but also I've been doing this a long time, of high ticket closing. Like when I started, there wasn't high ticket closing mentorship. So none of that stuff existed. So I think now people have become desensitized to what it takes to get to a 100K month. Now, it depends on what you're selling. If you're selling something that's worth 50 grand, you need to make 2 sales. So it's relevant. But then this comes down to the quality of the individual's business's offer and ability to sell. The higher the thing that they're selling, the easier it is to get to, if you're selling a low ticket £20 a month thing, you're going to have to do a lot of sales. If you're selling something that's 10 grand, it's easier. But I think people believe that it should be easy. And therefore, I think people are thinking, what's wrong with me if I haven't done it? Mm-hmm. I believe if you pick the right demographic and you have the right offer, at some point, everyone, certainly with the help that's available, should be able to hit it. But then the next thing is hitting it once is one thing. Everybody should be able to hit it once because you might run an internal offer, a Black Friday offer. Like the first time we hit it, it was November 2023, and I think we did like 150. I think we did I remember collecting I think it was just internally on reoffering what we now call early birds. I think we collected, this is like in 2022, I think it was 32 grand in 16 hours. And I was like, okay, this is in the DMs, just like reselling people in the DMs. I was like, okay, this is different. So I think it's actually hitting it multiple months. It being predictable. Because the other thing, this is not a lie, but this would be a concern, is when someone's hit it once and they're like, oh, great, let's start spending money on this, on this, on this, on this. And their, I guess, outgoings go up to match what they now think is their new point.
Yeah.
But the maintaining 100K, I think, is probably more challenging. Yeah.
100%. I've seen it again and again. The people who get to 100K a month, or even their first 50K a month, and they just think that they need to start pivoting in terms of strategy when they just double down
do more of what got you to that particular point. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, it makes sense everywhere up to a certain point when you feel like it's going to plateau. Instead of fixing the bottleneck in the business, it's just every other thing that could be shinier, that could make you more money, that's going to take you to the next level. Because I honestly think most fitness coaches just get bored. Right, they just get bored at that stage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've been coaching a long time. You need to still love the fact, the privilege that you get to have a positive impact into another human's life. That's coaching. Same for you. Like that, if you lose sight of that, then you've lost sight of coaching entirely. But I think if you still in some way hold within your heart, within yourself, that actually do get to genuinely change someone's life, the trajectory of their life, and therefore their kid's life. If you're not interested in that, then you need to go and do something else because you're going to get bored of it very, very quickly. But if I wake up one morning, like one of the best things that we do is in our Slack, we have a wins channel, and we all just post in there anything and everything that is a win, and it could be a transformation, a testimonial. If I'm feeling not run down, but if I'm feeling like, it's been a bit difficult day, this hasn't gone right, that hasn't gone right, I'll just go and scroll through that and I'll look at exactly what it is that we're doing. Even if it's felt like walking across glass for that particular day, I still go in there and go, well, we changed someone's life today, so the whole thing's worth it. And I think if you can keep that, then you shouldn't really get bored of that, really.
100%, couldn't agree more. And I think the main reason also is because after a certain point, when your lifestyle's covered, when your expenses are covered, the reasons why disappear. As in, like, if you're not the wolf chasing up the hill at that particular point. And I think exactly. I don't know what the number is, but people say there's something which is if you earn over a certain amount of money per month, technically that again doesn't change anything, and it doesn't to a point. Yes, it's more security. Yes, you can buy more stuff, but buying more stuff doesn't make people happy. Security is probably the more important one. But once you're secure, you're secure. So then what's making you continue in that direction? It has to be the pursuit of helping people. You then need to say to yourself, I would still go after that top of that hill for nothing. I'd do it for free. That's when you know you're following the right path, I think. 100%, because the fluffy freedom metric, which people like to say that they're working towards, like, does everyone actually know what that means for them? Isn't
it supposed to be, again, I've heard this on podcasts, the moment you can go into a restaurant and order something without looking at what the food costs, That's a really good way to go. You're doing pretty good if you go in and go, well, I'll just have that and not need to worry that it's a steak that's 30 quid, 40 quid, 100, whatever.
Yeah.
Within reason. And I've been on both sides of that. I've gone into a restaurant and walked out of a restaurant knowing full well I couldn't afford something in there. I've been there. It's horrific. But it makes you then massively appreciate when you can walk in and go, I'll just have the Wagyu. Not that I've ever actually done that. I don't think I've ever gone to I don't know if I have. Anyway, there you are. I'll tick that off soon. Yeah, I think it comes down to perspective, doesn't it, when it comes to that?
100%. Whatever it does mean for you as well. So what do you feel the most dangerous thing coaches do when trying to scale to that point of getting to their first 6 figures a month?
Complicate things, overcomplicate things. And I've fallen into that trap many times, and I'm sure I will do again. Trying to do too many things, trying to make things more complicated, trying to think that they need to then, to earn the ability to get to 100K, and i.e. then therefore say sell a 5K product rather than a 2K product, I think overcomplicate something. So for example, someone might say, like I've charged people 10 grand to work with me for 6 months. Like legit, like fairly easy to do. And someone's like, my goodness, what do you give someone for 10 grand? And I'm like, less than you do. Less than you do. It'll still be a PDF food plan, literally. It will be a training app that is the same as everyone else is using. What it is, this sounds arrogant, but it's me. It's what I can give. It's the perspective I can give. It's the 25 years of doing it. So it's simplifying and not going, well, I need to add this and I need to add that and it needs to be complicated. No, it needs to be as simple as you can get away with it, so you can actually it can then become scalable. I think probably, and I've made this mistake and will do again, not just doing more of what works. And so we'll probably get onto this, but no, our system is very much LinkedIn and it works and we can make technically as much money as we want to when it works. When it doesn't work, it's stressful. And so therefore it's very easy to go, well, I'll have that and I'll go and run ads on Instagram. And yeah, are they both possible? Yeah, because we could make anything work, but it's split attention. And I think when you start splitting attention, that's when things probably get more difficult.
I agree. So what do you feel are the pros and cons, I guess, of LinkedIn right now? LinkedIn ads specifically. Because you're 100% ads.
Yeah,
ads.
so I don't know. We were having this conversation and you would have way more perspective on this than me. I get the feeling that we're in for good or bad reasons, in a small group of people who have managed to get LinkedIn ads to work and it be the main and pretty much sole driver of our revenue. The benefits, less content creation needed for me. So that for me is pretty good. The ads first of all, the ad platform, I think compared to Meta, is a hell of a lot easier to use. When I tried to use Meta and compare it to LinkedIn, I'm like, there's just so many things to get wrong. I think once more you've used it, it obviously gets easier. But I think using the actual ad platform is very easy. The targeting is insane. I'd say one of the best things about LinkedIn is the fact if I want to work with a CEO or CFO of an oil and gas company with over 1,000 employees and they've been doing that for X amount of time and they live in Texas and their name's Bob, I can get that person to that level. They're going to cost a lot. That's the thing. But it's exactly who I want. So therefore, I think that's one of the best things in terms of how it works. And we know that we will get, in my opinion, the best quality fitness clients because they will come in and, to give you an example, I'm not going to mention the gentleman's name. I coach a gentleman myself. He came in, I spoke to them for 25 minutes. He was connected to me in LinkedIn, but he came for an ad. I spoke to him for 25 minutes. At the end of that, he handed me his Amex, paid 10 grand. I was like, okay. And his before and after pictures will come up. He's changed his life. Like he's actually got the result. He was 317 pounds. He's now 228, something like that. Halfway through the first 6 months, he pays another 10 grand to extend for 12. At the same time, he brings his wife in for 8 grand. A month later, he pays another 9 for 2 of his employees. 6 months later, his wife has then renewed again. He's like 35K in. That's not normal, but that's the type of people that LinkedIn gives you access to. I mean, good luck trying to find them on Instagram. I'm sure that they are there, but I don't know how far you've got to search to find them. So I'd far rather find that type of client. But it's not just about the 35K, although that's nice, cash flow. It's the type of person, the type of client who goes, just tell me what to do. Just here's $5,000, I'm in, just tell me what to do. Rather than, here's 250 quid a month, and do you do this, and do you do that, and do you do this, and do you do that? And I don't want to work with that type of person. So I forget the original question now, to be honest. The
drawbacks.
So the drawbacks are when it doesn't work spectacularly. So it works for me. It works for me because I close. Well, like we were saying earlier, like I'm in the month. We're 14 days in, and I'm 100% close rate with an AOV of 3,200, which is all right. It's a bit low, but it's all right. But so it's not like we're closing, small amounts. But if it doesn't work, so let's say, for example, LinkedIn, if you're listening, in March, LinkedIn changed the way that they kind of changed the way that they were delivering their ads. So for example, if we put an ad out for, say, $50 a day, over 24 hours, it should spend $50. Now, technically, they're allowed to spend 50% more of that if they think it's going to perform, $75 a day. It's never done that in 4 or 5 years that we've been doing it. And all of a sudden, one morning, everything had gone 75, 75, 75. Every time I started a new ad, 16 minutes later, $75 spent. And so we ended up spending about 10 grand extra that month and making a lot less because none of the ads had a chance to perform. So we lost shed loads of money that 1 month because of that. LinkedIn, again, if you're listening, just told us that that's the way it is. And I said, well, that's like telling me that I'm driving a car that I own and it's got a flat tire and I can't notice it. I'm like, I know full well there's a flat tire. I can feel it in the same way that I can feel that LinkedIn, your ad platform, is doing something different. Now, it's not just different for LinkedIn, is it? Meta do stuff like this, like it's happening everywhere. But the problem is it's the amount of money that we're having to spend. We could spend 20, 30K and when it goes well, we blow past whatever. But when it doesn't go well, it's a lot of money to contend with. I'd say and I think that is probably the thing that puts most people off, because you can spend 15, 25 bucks a day and get followers on, Instagram. And I'm an advertiser then, but I'm only really putting my toe in. Whereas we're like certainly nowhere near the biggest fitness advertisers on the planet. Absolutely not. But it's still we're probably spending more money than most fitness coaches are maybe generating a month. I don't know. So it looks like a scary amount.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you an idea. Well, I can everyone an idea on like pros, cons, LinkedIn, Meta ads as well, because I've been on both sides. I'm honestly not biased towards another because, first of all, we have clients running both, right? LinkedIn ads as well as Meta ads. Now, the main thing I've seen with LinkedIn ads, of course, like targeting is 100% better. Cost per lead until you've cracked it is usually a lot higher for a cost per qualified lead. So like the qualified leads, you can get lower quicker on a lower budget on Meta than on LinkedIn until you've actually cracked winning ads, until you have like a base foundation of like 5, 6, 7 winning creative, right? Which usually takes more spend to get to test. And that's like for pretty much everyone spending under 10 grand a month, or under 5 to 8 grand a month, actually, I should say. So those guys like usually have a hard time getting past that phase where it's like, usually the first few grand, 3 to 5 grand a month spend is usually more profitable in Meta, right? Technically before. And that's given that they were already kind of on Meta and they were completely fresh to LinkedIn, by the way. So like, I know that's also given that you don't already have like a LinkedIn organic presence that's working. Yeah. So which is like another thing I believe you had ahead of going into LinkedIn ads.
This is another good point. So, we were kind of lucky because when we started on LinkedIn, there was a secret hack which is what helped us, which looking back, I was like, why did we not exploit this further? But we could send out, so if anyone's using LinkedIn right now, you'll know full well that I think it's maybe 75 connection requests a day or a week. I don't know. It's like, I think it's 75 connection requests a day, which is like weeing in the wind, really. If you're trying to grow organically, it's nigh on pointless. So back in 2022, I forget the exact system, we could upload CSVs into LinkedIn and we'd like friend request 350 or connection request 350, 400 a day. It was relentless. And we just thought it was normal because that's what that's what it let you do. Yeah. So we were making 40, 50K just organically from that. And then, of course, it got harder and harder, and then eventually they took it away. So that by that point, we've got ourselves to maybe, I don't know, 20,000 connections or something. Yeah. So when someone clicks on an ad, and 20,000 connections on LinkedIn is fairly high, right? Like it's people haven't got massive numbers of connections or followers because they're hard to get. So when someone sees that, they're like, reputable, and that's it. I think the thing with LinkedIn is people will go searching stuff. They will go snooting around in the best possible way. I think we've got like 80 recommendations sitting in there. Like I'm trying to get to over 100. Like that is our goal at the minute. Yeah. But 80 recommendations, and they are genuinely glowing. They're not just a couple of lines, they're paragraphs. And I think when someone reads those, immediately they're like, this is not a just popped up fitness company. These guys do seem to have been here a while. They do seem to know what they're doing. I'll at least give them a chance to talk to me type situation. And I think that definitely helps for sure, yeah.
100%. I mean, like with Meta, like especially Instagram ads more specifically, your IG page is your landing page essentially. So like your content and your more recent content more specifically, story highlights, bio, are your conversion metrics versus like LinkedIn. It's still based on the page to an extent because people do dig before they buy as well, and your website as well. Like people actually look at your website. Meta, it's a lot more just about how good of a content creator are you, or how specifically can you speak to your ideal niche. And that's what usually helps people out the gate as well. If they're good at IG content or have good content, Meta ads are 10 times, usually a lot easier at the beginning. And then the next thing is like Meta, I feel is more scalable for higher spend as well. So like past, I believe, like from what I've seen quite consistently anyways, past like 20 grand a month spend, 30 grand a month spend, you're right. Like the system is very pressurized based on the closing, the sales ability, because the cost per qualified call taken becomes higher and higher on LinkedIn as you scale the spend. On Meta, it usually gets lower. So like as the spend scales, because you have easier creative.
I would definitely agree. I think we've found a point where we can get to, if there were two me's technically to close at the level I close at, then I could scale it out. It's got to a point where we can make plenty of money, be comfortable, run a good business, great. If I was like, oh no, but I want to get to like 250 a month, 350 a month, $500,000 a month, I'm like, okay, then LinkedIn is going to be difficult because the quality of the closing, I believe, has to be so good. So then, therefore, we would be like, okay, well, we need to then do something slightly different. I think it can get to a certain point. I think also the way in what I've learned, scaling vertically in the ads on LinkedIn, I've found difficult. They die quick. Now, I think that's probably down to me and not having enough creatives inside an ad set, just to get a bit geeky for a second, but it's more to do with that. Yeah. The ads die a lot quicker. Like when I'm running follower ads, if I do run follower ads, which I do occasionally do, my Claude dashboard that works everything out for me just tells me that it's like 97 pence per follower, and as long as it just says that stays at that, I kind of just leave it. I don't touch it. I can just leave it running like that. I just look at the number once per day, or every couple of days. Whereas LinkedIn ads, I'm in Ad Manager probably for an hour a day at least. Yeah. Because if something starts spending wrongly, it's like before I realise it, it's just like caned $200 for absolutely nothing. So I do have to be more attentive to it.
I do think these are like very, very key points here as well in terms of. I believe, not to sound like I'm being pessimistic here, but I think you're an anomaly. I think, because from what I've seen from most people that run LinkedIn ads right now, which I'm not against, by the way, 100% think you're able to crack it. I just don't think they're as skilled in Ads Manager to know what to look for, number one. And two, as relentless in Ads Manager to be able to turn stuff on and off and split test creative. I think it's just weak. Like it just takes a lot of years of practice.
And look, it's not what I want to be doing forever. Yeah. But while it makes, I'm not going to say easy. It's not easy to make money. But while it's a system that we know, it's a system that we run. If someone turned around and said, right, there is no more LinkedIn, then we would just go and make something else work. Yeah. Because I'd have no bloody choice. And anything works if you put enough time and effort into it. Webinars and email marketing, everything will work if that's the only thing that we had. If we had to go back to handing out flyers, we'd make it work because we'd have no choice. But I do I mean, I've only really come across a few people that have run ads, and I've seen people sort of try it and get their fingers burnt quick and come out of it and go back to what feels safe. And I get that.
Yeah.
That's like me trying, a completely fresh VSL funnel on Meta and just looking at the leads thinking, but if we kept putting the effort into it, we would make it work. Something for us to talk about another day. So I don't know. I mean, from your clientele perspective, you would see how many people are doing it and I'm not.
I mean,
I get the impression we're in a small, not in a good, necessarily a good way, but just in a small number of people that have just stuck with it, maybe.
Yeah, you've had years behind it, and I've seen 4 people crack it. Like literally, 4. Out of I think out of a lot of people who have tried, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And I think that this key point, I can tell you the very, very key points on whether you should run LinkedIn ads or whether you should run IG ads. LinkedIn ads is heavily reliant on a dialing system. So if you suck at hiring setters, dialers, right? Setters, same as us. If you suck at the hiring process, which by the way, you're very good at. So at hiring process, most people aren't great at that. Then the entire system doesn't work. Like it's very difficult to get working.
This is where other skill sets come in. So my background goes way, even though I would say I'm a pretty decent coach, I can coach people, get people in shape. That's kind of a given. So we just put that, that's like someone saying, I need to lose weight, I'm eating healthy. It's like, yeah, that bit's a given. Like you just need to do that. So when it comes to running a business, and I am no guru at this, but this is not my first business. I've had another business that had a huge amount of hiring. Before that, I managed big, 24-person sales floors in daily newspapers, and I had to deal with everything. So the experience and what I've been exposed to has just led me to a point where I am not perfect at it. I cock up all the time. I mess up all the time. I fuck up every single day. Like I get more things wrong than people get right. But I just try to do them in a small amount and then learn from it quickly. But what you've said there is really important, which is this particular system does require dialing, or the way that we've set it up does require dialing. And again, that's a whole nother skill set to get. So dialing is like a mini version of closing, technically. And getting that to work, then therefore understanding a CRM. I don't know how many fitness coaches have actual proper CRMs and utilize them and understand. Because then you're starting to get into the real back end side of a business that has got
sticky stuff.
It's got nothing to do with coaching. So it's like, it's
tech.
It's a completely different thing. And I mean, what's cool though is these are skills and understanding this that would transfer to anything.
100%.
You could go and do anything, and the backside of the business is still the same.
I think there's a big difference between being a coach and being an operator, right? So it's like a lot of people on IG. So if usually the people who are good coaches, bad operators, they have more leeway to fuck up on IG, basically. On IG ads.
It's more forgiving.
100%, right? Because you don't have to spend as much to fuck around and find out, essentially, right? But with IG, like DM setting is typically easier to hire for because the pool is that much larger as well. And second, with IG, I do think that if content is something that people are good at, they have more leverage on IG. LinkedIn, you can get away with AI image ads all day, every day. But IG, like if you are good at content, you'll be more profitable there. Like it's just
and the people who I see do well there are really good at content, and I watch their content and I'm like, I wish I could do content like that. I can sit in front of a camera and talk, and even then I look at like the skip rate and watch, and I'm like, why am I even bothering? I'm even boring myself when I watch my own content. But it's you've got to again. But this is leaning into the thing that you are best at. And if someone's best at content, and some people out there are absolutely amazing at it, and I look at it and think, God, that's just so original. First of all, well put together, well thought out. I need to watch to the end. I'm like. If that was the only thing that was available to me, would I do it? Yes, but it would be a big switch in how my week works, where my thought process is. For sure.
Like the thing is, right, even with IG, just good scripting is good enough to get away with for ads. And then as long as delivery is okay, that's fine. And then the next thing is like, it's the spend. I do think that a lot of people just don't have the ball. Like they just don't have the balls to spend a bunch of money and be able to lose it. Like on LinkedIn, of course, like you have to spend a decent amount of money to even get leads in the first place. It's a lower volume play than IG. So, and you have faster you have faster feedback on IG because of the lower cost per leads to
Got
be
more
able
people
to
coming
fix
through
them.
to,
So you have faster feedback loops essentially. So if you're not already making like a bunch of money, or if you haven't already made a bunch of money on organic on LinkedIn, I think it's harder to crack fresh with ads.
And now I think, organic, like if I look at, how much, to be completely honest, if I look at how much money we make organically on LinkedIn, it's just dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped because it's harder to get more people to connect with you because you don't have that option anymore. Therefore, we've spoken to everybody, like the 20,000 connections, we've spoken to them a lot, and they're like, all right, Andy, yes. It's kind of hit a point where we've, we do, every now and again we'll have a random month where we might, 3 sales, 20 grand organically. We're like, great. So it's still profitable.
Yeah.
And, we've had someone who we've been following up with for about 5 years. And then eventually they're like, do you know what? I really appreciate the fact that you've just been here. And I can think of a chap who came on board and, he was in his car, like dropped 7K to work with me. And I said, oh, but then I said, you had another mentor? He said, yes. I said, what was that costing you? He was like 32 grand a year. And I'd just taken, I was like, damn it. I asked these questions all the way around.
The worst feeling. I would have paid more.
I would have paid more for you.
Worst line in sales you could
That was per month, by the way. I think look, it's easy, it's fairly easy to build an audience on Instagram, I think. It's a way more engaging platform. LinkedIn is not an engaging platform. People are, because of who they are and the positions that they hold and all this sort of stuff, everything's way more, but at arm's reach. They don't respond to stuff. They don't really react to stuff and comment. Like the comments that a lot of people see on LinkedIn not many of them are ever real comments. You can kind of tell like most of them are coming from some sort of AI system.
Speaking of AI, how much of your business is actually run by AI today?
I'm AI now.
This is not a real podcast.
We're not really here. Yeah, this is a hologram. An increasing amount, drastically, in a good way, dramatically then I should say. So I had obviously, probably like everybody, seen AI appearing more and more over last year, I would say. I started using ChatGPT maybe only this year, probably, really. And it was just chat, maybe longer, I'll have to look back, but just sort of chatting. I remember seeing this Claude thing and thinking, that seems like the crap one over there, I'll leave it. And it was, technically. Yeah. And then obviously Claude. And then all of a sudden I'm like, right, switch over. And the moment I got my head around Cowork, everything has changed. Everything has changed. I spend more time. That's probably the thing I spend most time in. My weekends are spent building, delegating, automating, systemizing. Anything I can. Yes, it's brought down the numbers in my team, with no disrespect to anybody, but my goal is to have the smallest, best quality human team I can have, who are then working over the top of AI, with AI doing everything that we should just not need to do. The amount of things that then therefore things like Cowork, code, even chat with things like MCP connectors, the amount of stuff that thing's doing, it'll be working now. I don't know what it's probably doing. It's concocting something in my bag, but something is working all the time.
What has it automated for you so far, or what have you delegated, systemized, streamlined with Claude, Claude, basically? So
first of all, I use it to hold me accountable. So if we think about it can go off and do stuff. I'll come back to that. But first of all, I have no one checking my pushing back on what I think I should be doing. So I set it up in chat initially, but I've actually moved it over into Cowork, which is I have project folders, and each project folder has instructions. This is what this folder is for. I'm sure everyone's already doing that. Mine are very specific. So I have a strategy one, a marketing one, a sales one for my health and fit, like just anything I can think of. The strategy one has very specific guidance. It knows my business. It has access to sort of go and pull information in. It's there for me to bounce ideas off, but it's there. Like one of the things it knows about me, which is I have a tendency to just get kind of like obsessed with something and go off and start building something and waste a whole weekend doing something. And I've told it, I've done this many, many times. And so when I say, oh, I've got a really good idea, I'm thinking about doing this and this, and it's like, yeah, just 1 second, mate. 1 second, mate. Because you're going down the tendency of doing this thing. And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. So basically, I'm using it as like a board member, nearly. It actually will stop me going off and wasting a lot of time. But obviously using it to bounce ideas off in Cowork, what is it automating? A lot, but I think the first things we had it do, and I would have it someone else do, is give you as a business owner clarity on the numbers that make the most sense. So everyone will be using trackers. Now, but what happens is you can get a tracker, then a tracker, then a tracker, then a tracker, then a tracker, and then you're like, what the hell am I supposed to be looking at? So I just have Cowork pull that into a dashboard, and it just says like, these are the 3 numbers that you need to be thinking of. So when I open Cowork in the morning, so when I get up in the morning, some of the scheduled things are like for Instagram. So for the people that are using Instagram, it does my whole follow account tracker. So it's like, how many new followers did you get this today? The cost that you spent on follower ads, therefore the cost per follower, like that's all automated. Mine also does a follower ad dashboard. And so raw numbers, how much have I spent per ad? How many visits or profile views? What was the conversion between the two? What was the cost per follower? Then it's so it's got that as a singular number for that day. Then it's tracking it over like a 7-day period, a 3-day period. Then it will tell me whether to kill, whether to scale, or whether to hold. So it's kind of tracking all those metrics. That's really easy to build. And I'd built that in using Google Scripts. I'd got actually chat to build a Google Scripts, and then that's now fully dashboarded out. I've got dashboards. My favorite one actually for the moment is a full, I like this one. So it's a full marketing funnel with a flywheel effect to it. So my marketing, which I've mentioned, is the thing that, not marketing, but content creation, the thing I don't like the most. So I will just drop thoughts into my notes app, and it'll just be like, I've got a piece of content about, the biggest flex for, being a man over 40 is not what you've got, the car you drive, this, that. It's like being in shape. It's like leading your kids. So the idea comes into my head. I record it into notes. So I've got loads of notes, loads of links. Cowork will go and pull that all in once per week. It will decide, based on what we're trying to do, which one we script out. It will script them out. I review those scripts once per week. I then take them off to BigView or wherever, record them. I record all that content, put it into a drive. Once per day, Cowork is looking at that drive. It will it will go into the drive, and then it goes to my editor. When I've approved something from my editor in Trello, it drops to a particular place. That particular place goes through make.com. That then puts it into Google Drive. Claude is looking in the Google Drive every day. As soon as it finds something, it picks it up, plus the caption, puts it into a scheduler, and it just gets scheduled and posted. Once per week, the same thing then looks at the information that's coming back from the scheduler, i.e. the views, reach, comments, plus it's going off and looking at 10 to 15 competitors, looking at what worked well for them, what's working well for us. And then when I do my ideas iteration, it says, you probably want to think about doing more of these, mate, because it's looking at what's happening. So the more that we put in, the faster the thing spins, the sharper my content gets. That's the thing. I'm still just finishing off, but that's the thing that we've kind of just built out. They're the ones that come to mind for now, yeah.
Image ads, the other one. But that's ChatGPT, isn't it?
Image ads.
Oh, as in what we call infogs.
Yeah.
We call them infogs. So we were doing. We've been writing LinkedIn newsletters for eons. So we've got well-written, same thing that we'd use for email marketing. So the same kind of copy, like proper long form written copy. We would take that. We were actually just throwing it into ChatGPT and said, like, turn it into this. And it would just, but with very specific instructions of how we want it to look. And then we would just get these sort of like, everyone started doing them. So we've immediately pretty much stopped. As soon as we see everything going everywhere, we're like, okay, we stop and move to something different. Otherwise we just look like everybody else. At the moment I'm doing a lot of green screen stuff, which is like, the biggest myths for da-da-da-da. But we'll probably only do that for a certain amount of time, because people just eventually, these sorts of, and this is the thing about content, it's what's trendy at that particular point. I've been doing this too long to want to be following trends. I'd rather just like look at big companies, like car companies, BMW, like they don't necessarily follow marketing trends. They're just really good at what they do. Yes, they evolve, and I would prefer to sort of have a company that runs marketing wise more like that.
I agree. I think a lot of people are using Claude the wrong way, as in they're productively procrastinating over it as well. And I think the stuff we went through on what's actually needed to be built, you've built very well, and you're actually maximizing the output of it as well.
Yeah, it's there not just, I think people are just going in and using it like a glorified Google on steroids. Do you know what I mean? Like just asking it questions, which is useful, but then, particularly if it's ChatGPT, it's going to tell you, yes, you're amazing, and yes, you're right. And you very quickly need to get away from it doing that. You need to tell it to push back. You need to tell it to, it needs to know your business. It needs to know who you're working with, what you've done. It needs to know everything that you know, so that it's then, and then you need to tell it, you need to tell me the things that, what am I missing? What am I looking at? Where are my blind spots? What mistakes do I continually make over and over again? So it's then that board member that's picking you up. But you need it doing stuff for you.
I agree.
You know, like Cowork, Cowork has its own Chrome browser open, and it's in and out of that all day long. Like it'll be opening tabs, going off and doing stuff, going into different things all day long. Well, not all day long, when the tokens are cheap. So I think in the morning, like that's when it's doing most of it. But I'm going to go and have a play with, I think over the weekend with Fable, because I've heard a lot of people talking about that. And so I'll have a, but again, it's not just doing something for the sake of doing it. Like you've got to use it as a tool. You know, we're not going to, we don't go off and get Trainerize or Kahunas or any of these like platforms just for the sake of having it. We're getting it to deliver something, to achieve something. And I think Claude is the same.
I genuinely think with AI, with Claude, with automations, with Cowork, with delegations, most people just run in blind because they have no guidance on what they're actually building.
Yeah. Well, now
they don't know what they're building.
Now the problem is it's not like, oh, I've only got so many ideas and I can only do so many things. It's I can now potentially think, I can now do anything. That's like a fitness client saying, there's all these diets out there and apparently they all work, and the coach is like, yeah, but the context is this is the one for you. And I think with AI, people are like, oh God, I can do anything. It's like, yeah, that's the problem. You need to work out still what is the problem that you're trying to fix and what should you not be doing, like repeatable tasks that you shouldn't be doing every day. And when you crack that, it is pretty cool just to open your computer in the morning and Claude's like, here's everything you need to know. And honestly, I've walked up to my computer where I used to stand there and do like 2 hours, 3 hours of deep work. And I just look at Claude and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, I've got all this time left and I'm like, well, go train or I'll obviously work on something else that Claude can't, but it's using it smartly, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and I think for most people, they actually need people in certain roles. They need people in certain seats, and they're trying to use Cowork as like the replacement or the alternative for hiring people when people are needed in certain seats, and they just need to get better at hiring, or they just need proper systems for hiring.
It's not a replacement. It's a workhorse. You know, it will do repeatable tasks over and over again, and it can create things and it can give you ideas, but you still need a human context, I think. Because it's the same as, fitness coaches, should they or shouldn't they be worried that AI is coming for their jobs? If they're a crap coach and they have a crap business, yes, they should probably be worried. But if they run a good business, and at the end of the day, again, it comes down to why would someone pay 10 grand to work with me? It's to work with me, a human, a person who has worked with many other humans like that. That's what people... And we all now know that in AI, humans will go around a big circle and they will come back to, hence why Yap videos, which I've been doing since 2019, we called them Andy chats. Yeah. Because I didn't know what else to do in COVID. I just walk around like talking to myself. They're now called Yaps. And so 5 years later, everyone else has caught on and I'm like, I need to move on to something different. But, it's a case of, you've still got to, I think you've still got to be able to do the things that you need to do and do them really well. And you need humans. Also, you need to be able to talk to another human at some point in your business. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of people are getting super, super caught up in the fact that they need the perfect offer and everything is about their deliverables and what information they can provide with a perfect nutrition plan, perfect motivation mindset module, the blood work, the peptides, everything else, when 80% of what they're selling is the accountability and the human contact. So that's what they're actually paying for. But a lot of people are failing to understand this still. They spend forever on fixing the perfect product and making their product better.
I would say over the years I've picked up a fair degree of knowledge and information just because I've been naturally interested in it. So then how much of all of that information do I use day to day with a client? 15, 20% of it, if that. Yeah. It's still helping someone stick to a very simple food plan. It's helping someone have a wind down routine before they go to bed. It's helping someone know that just because they've fucked up on one meal, it's still those very simple things, like the accountability that AI can't offer. And I think one of the things I do best is when I send voice notes to people. Yeah. Because then they hear me. They hear whatever I can get across. Sitting and talking or sending. Sometimes I'll just record myself. I've got about maybe 12 or 15 clients out of like the 230. So it's easier for me at that scale. But that's what someone's paying for.
Yeah.
Me on a level, and like I've got a client who, the gentleman who paid the 10K, he went away on holiday, came back like his water weight has flown up, and so me helping him just go, look, mate, come on, it's just water weight, it's going to come down. So settling his mind down, that's what's worth money, and AI is never going to come for that, 100%. As far as we know.
Now, moving on to systems in the business as well. What broke first when you first hit 100K a month? If you can think back to first.
I don't know if anything broke first. Because I knew something would break, but at the time we had enough coaches so we could deliver, and we still have enough coaches so we could deliver. So it wasn't about the delivery. By that point, we already had a lot of stuff automated using Zapier, so that I think we could onboard people quick enough. I don't know necessarily that anything broke. I guess I looked at that and thought, crikey, if I can do that on my own, I just need another closer, don't I? And that's probably, as you well know, has been the 2 to sort of 3 year thorn in my side that I've gone through, which I will know I'll go through again at some particular point. But when you get to a point, like there's only so many sales calls I can take. Like I'm getting to the end of the day, my eyes like sting because I've been staring at my computer for 14 hours a day. Like I can only handle so many sales calls, which is great. So at some point you're going to need someone else to take the rest. And obviously I've gone around a cycle of trying to find that person. And I think that's probably that. Trying to do that has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
There's no question. I've had people say to me before, hire a closer. I'm like, yeah, I'll earn more money. And they're like, no, you'll earn less money, but you'll do less sales if that's the switch you want to make. Taking yourself out of coaching is fairly straightforward. Like that's, you should be able to get other great coaches. All my coaches are far more qualified than me. I have the most pathetic level 3 PT qualification in the world. They've all got bachelors and stuff. But getting someone else to come in and close the offer, could there technically be someone better than me? Obviously. I just haven't bloody found them yet. And I'd be very happy to. So I think the biggest challenge that we had was trying to have someone else come and sit in my seat, and my expectation that they should be able to hit the same numbers. That's cost me. It's nearly cost me my business on a couple of occasions. There's no question. I've pushed so hard to try and take myself out of that seat. A couple of years ago, I had to do some things pretty quickly to make sure that the business survives, and I would do whatever it takes. And I think that's been the most costly mistake. And we've lost hundreds of thousands of pounds over the months or years.
I can give everyone a bit more context on this, actually. So for you specifically, because sales is such a strong skill, it would be very, very hard to have a closer be able to profitably run that system. What I've seen in the past is people who have, of course, like hired closers too early at like 50K a month, 40K a month, and when they should have actually just been like, what else am I doing in the business which I need to delegate? So more of my focus is on sales. And I've also seen people come in who've hired closers at 40, 50, 60 grand a month, be very successful and be able to scale that to the next level. Absolutely fine, right? This all depends on the rest of the system. Like, how are we getting leads? How much do they cost? Is it really
organic and bought in? Yeah.
What's the cost per call booked? What's the cost per call taken, qualified call taken? And then where it can get to a point where the only thing that you're looking at is close rate and AOV.
Yeah.
That's different for every single business. At what point you should bring in a closer. I agree 100%. Most people just get bored of sales or just hate it and then try and get out of it too early and destroy their business. You weren't in a position where you were trying to get out of it too early. You were getting out of it when you're actually at full capacity, taking way too many calls a day, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when we actually were like, okay, let's taper it back and be like, okay, can we just take this amount? Get higher AOV, of course, and which was already high, and then just leave it there. Just collect as much cash as possible because we have earning windows, right?
Yeah.
We're like, how long can we stay at highest potential, highest performance? Collect as much cash as we humanly can, put it into investments, and then fuck off somewhere. So it's like,
go and teach scuba diving somewhere. I think I look back. I can look back on all the big things that I've got wrong because it's always hindsight is great. We should be able to predict our future by looking into the past, technically. Like, we should go, well, if I repeat this, technically I should get the same outcome. So I need to avoid that if it was a bad outcome. And so for a couple of times for us, I remember, do you know what? It was funny enough, the month that we hit the 150, we were flying. There was me closing, there were two other people. and I was like, right, well, crikey, you know, we hit 150, and I was the person who brought the less in. I'm like, we're done. And so I think 3 months later, I'd taken myself out, and what happened was it was just a really slow death. It was like this. Well, ad spend was going up, and this was going down, and then 6 or 7 months later, I had to come back in, remove all the closers, and go hell for leather to try and like get enough money back into the business to make sure that it was going to be there. And that was a very difficult lesson because I thought I'd fixed everything. I thought it was, you know, I spent too long trying to help the closers at the time because I'd seen what they were capable of. And I'm like, they're going to get back there at some point.
Yeah.
A month later, they're going to get back there at some point. A month later, and I just let it go too far, hoping. And I remember when I then thought I need to go back and start selling again. It'd been that long. I remember thinking, I don't remember what I used to say. I had to literally had to have some prompts on my phone because I'd forgotten what I said. And I've got to relearn my own scripts. And I was like, I'm never going to let that happen again.
Who called that out? And
this has been a running joke in the business where I say only a couple of people, I'm like, am I hanging on to this person too long? They're like, I think you might be. I'm like, okay. Because of, because I'm someone who I want to believe in the best in people. I want to see the best in people. I want to give people a chance. And I always will. People have done that for me. So I'll do it for other people. However, when it comes to the survival of the business, then I'm like, no. I've become I've removed people way, way quicker. Not in a bad way, but in the proper, well-managed way where I'm like, these are your KPIs. This is what you need to do. Can you or can't you? Here's the help, because I'm still believing you. Here's the help. But, if in 2 weeks' time you've not shown me that you've turned this around, then best of luck, but I'm going to let you go somewhere else. And I've got much, much quicker at that because I just I won't go through those painful situations again.
That's my job. Make sure you...
Yeah, but this is the thing. Look, this is the thing with mentoring. Like, it's important. And I don't think anyone ever gets past the point of needing that voice to kind of go, because this is the same as coaching. When a human is like, I think that, a fitness client, I think this, I think that. And we as coaches are like, no, this is just what's happening. It's just putting someone's head back on, putting it in the right direction again. And when it comes to, any kind of business coaching, that's what it is. Like when we have conversations, we might talk about strategy and technical stuff. Half the time it's you saying, just focus there, or this what you're thinking isn't unnormal. You're not on your own. Because I think that's another important thing with mentoring is certainly in our world in fitness, it can get very easy to get isolated. Very easily as a business owner, especially if you've got a team around you, you're then there on your own. That is a bad place to be. It will always eventually be, because if something goes wrong, you think you've failed, you start second guessing yourself, you start making shit decisions, and you just need someone to go, no, you've just for the moment focused on the wrong thing. But I understand why, and here's why, and this is what you need to do. And I think that's, many of our conversations are more like that. And that's valuable forever. Like, you don't ever outgrow that, I don't think.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think the outside perspective is valuable as well, but then the shiny objects are very expensive. Let's say, as we found out, shiny objects can be very, very expensive, and it's usually the opportunity cost of the focus being in the right direction that's the most expensive part. But of course, you do have your heads very screwed on as well. So for you, if we're actually going into specifics of your business as well, what metrics do you tend to look at every single day?
So mostly sales. So obviously I'm starting to look at the content ones, but the content metrics, they're there to help me understand just how to iterate content better and talk better. So they don't generate business technically, but they might do in the future, hence why I'm putting focus on them. In terms of what's happening now, so in terms of business numbers, all the numbers that are sitting in LinkedIn Ad Manager, so cost per lead. Cost per someone clicking on the lead gen form. Like that's probably one of the first things I look at every day, because that could spiral quite quickly. I learned that in March. All right, so I'm looking at it way too much, but I have to at the moment. So I'm looking at cost per what ads are running, what is like the average sort of cost per lead application, how many applications are we getting per day. Crikey, I'm then looking at things like so in terms of dialing, because it's a dialing system, what is our average pickup percentage? What is our pickup percentage across different parts of the pipeline, which we looked at yesterday? That was really interesting, because we get what we would say is quite a poor pickup percentage. But when you split it to new leads and say old leads, just for example, the new leads pickup percentage is really good. So I'm looking at that in terms of dialing conversion. So that's the number of quality conversations turned into a call. So it's really cost per ad, cost per application, pickup percentage, conversion, show up, close. I don't need to look at close though, do I? I'm not so worried about that. 100%. Like 100%. But so I don't. But I did obviously with another closer. I did. So that's it. Book calls, close calls. Yeah. So you know, show up percentage. Our show up percentage at the minute is something like 60 to 70%, maybe even higher. When it's weirdly when they're booked with me, the show up percentage is way higher. But they don't know who I am, so we're still trying to work out what is it that they see or don't see that makes them show up to me because they don't know who I am. So show up percentage has been particularly great. Conversion, so pickup, right now our bottleneck is pickup percentage conversions because of the way that dialing is getting more difficult. Show up rate, close, I look at, I don't need to worry about because I feel in control of those. And then obviously you've got a whole bunch of other numbers, cost per call booked, cost per quality, cost per show up, cost per second show up, CAC, all of those numbers as well. Weirdly, as we've been speaking recently, now that I've come straight back into the seat and I'm just like, sell, those numbers I'm looking at slightly less, which is not what I would advise, but we were talking about this week, I think earlier, which is I can just tell by the number of people that are getting booked in with me, and I know how much money I'm spending on ads per day. And so therefore I know how many sales I just need to make per day. I just know in my head, that's a gut feeling. All the data is there. And if I want to go back and look at it, I'm like, okay, well, we're, X amount Xing, ROAS in on the ads as they come in. And then as we go back up and, farm through the leads, so I have all of that data to me. I try to just pull out what is going to make the biggest difference and try not to focus on, if you focus on every number, you're focusing on none. And so I try to focus, I'm also trying to focus on like the lead indicator as much as I possibly can. So in a dialing system, pickup percentage is right at the front of that. If pickup percentage is rubbish and conversion is rubbish, nothing else behind that really matters. So I tend to try and focus on them a little bit.
On sales, what's the biggest reason people lose deals on calls?
Oh, goodness me.
Big question.
Loads. So, crikey, great. How much longer have we got? This is such a cool topic. It depends. Some people are just good at, I don't want to say good at sales. It's just having a good bloody conversation. Like you're kind of saying to a prospect, you've got the problem, I've got the solution. Like you've got the problem, I've got the Smarties. And that's it. And so there is something in that, which is I'm saying to someone, every single word, 90% of the words I say in my discovery and my second call, although they might seem like just an easy conversation, everything is there on purpose. I say nothing on accident. Even the smallest possible things that you would hear me say and you wouldn't think anything of it, there's a psychological reason why everything is said. Everything has been put in there bit by bit by bit to get someone to get to the end and go, yeah, all right then, I'll just do the 6. Everything. And the more I do it, the more I realize it just all sort of happened naturally. But I position the whole thing that makes, like right at the beginning, I'm like, so my goal here is just to get to know you a little bit better, understand where you are with your health and fitness right now, get some understanding as to what and even if we can possibly help with. And it's putting things that you've got a problem, you've come here to see if we can possibly help. And I don't even know if I possibly can yet. So it's setting things up. But to your question, what makes people not get sales? Probably quite often asking bad questions. Mm-hmm. Asking bad questions, not getting to truly understand what the problem is that they're trying to fix with the person in front of them. They're thinking, I need to get a sale. I've been in that situation. I just need to get a bloody sale and pay some, bills. But ultimately, a human is coming into this conversation because they have a problem. Now, if we want to go a little bit deeper, let's imagine we're working with, say, my demographic, which is 40 plus men and women, busy business leader, got a family, behind their business or their career and their family, they've sacrificed themselves. They're suffering. Now, the human condition is to be suffering, apparently. It's just the degrees of which we suffer. So I say to my team, everybody that applies has applied to fix a problem that they know that they've got or they don't know they've got. Solution aware, problem aware, product aware. Mm-hmm. Every human is suffering. You've just got to try and understand where they're suffering, hold a mirror up so that they can see and feel their own suffering. because that's the thing that we're trying to fix. We're not trying to sell a technical program. We're trying to, I mean, when I'm talking to someone, I'm creating a gap, many of them, but ultimately a gap from where they are now to where they're trying to get to, on the goal, on their nutrition, on their training, on everything. That gap they fill with their own emotion. And it's that I'm selling to, but it's that I'm fixing, because this is just technical stuff, macros, blah, blah, blah. It's what's in the middle. It's the emotion of, oh my goodness, I'm further from my goal. I'm suffering more than I thought. Everything I thought that was going to work isn't. I'm anxious now about my future. I'm anxious now about my kids and my grandkids and da-da-da-da. That's what we're there to fix.
100%. And like from what I've seen as well, there's a few variables. Like number one, when it gets to objection handling, I think a lot of people just believe smokescreens very, very easily. As in, they don't actually dive into reasons behind smokescreens because it's uncomfortable, of course, right?
It is, yeah.
And I do think there's some variables which are harder to spot in closes, in sales. And the biggest one there is tonality. So tonality being the pitch, the volume, the rhythm, even the hand gestures, facial expressions,
So
body.
I'm what would you say, animated when I talk. To me, it's a performance.
Yeah.
But not in a fake way. It's a
conveying emotion.
Yeah, like, and I think I'm generally an upbeat. My tonality is generally upbeat. I talk quite quick. I talk quicker than I should do. If someone wanted to sort of critique my sales, they'd be like, "You need to slow down." I'm like, "Yeah, but 100% close rate, so I don't really care." So, but it's my style. It's my way of doing it. Like you would close different, much more slower, probably way more low key. Like mine is. It's fitness, so you need to get someone excited about absolutely the possibility of achieving this goal, but then you also need to go, well, I stumble over my words on purpose. I make someone, I'm trying to help someone not think that I know exactly what I'm about to say. Because I'll quite often say to someone, imagine if if you jumped on board and you saw what we did and we helped you fix this, and goodness me, we did this, this, and this. How would you feel in, like 6 months' time? And they're like, well, I'd feel good. And I'm like, I know it's a stupid question, isn't it really? But it allows me to ask this question, which is, imagine you didn't find the solution or you didn't fix this, and none of this happened, and where do you think well, if you looked into the future, say, I don't know, like 5 or 10 years down the road, I mean, from your perspective, what would what would be the worst case scenario? I've just stumbled over all of that. I'm just going to say what would be the worst case scenario, but I need them to think that I'm thinking on the cuff with them. That's the story.
100%. In fitness, it's an emotional sell before it's a logical sell.
Oh, yeah.
And for us, for example, it's heavily a logical sell, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to an emotional sell before a logical sell, you can't get away with just reading off a script and sounding like a robot. Like you can't just sound like a vegetable on a call and then expect to close deals all day like you do. But what's the biggest mistake do you feel that people make on sales calls?
So I think, so for us, we do a 2-part call, which isn't time effective, but 100% close rate, so I don't care. But I think people mess up in the discovery. If you do a poor discovery, you've got nothing to sell to. You've got no emotion. I think also people are getting caught up in this idea that there's all these really clever frameworks to overcome objections. And this is this, high ticket closer world that we live in. I, touch wood, don't get objections. I just don't get them. They're there. So I think, first of all, it's people believing that they can handle an objection. Like, how about we just don't need to get them? I had my first objection for the first time in weeks yesterday, and it was, I won't make a decision on the call. I need to go away and think about it. And I managed to pull her all the way around, and she paid. But for me, that doesn't happen very often. I'm not the best objection breaker. If you get the discovery right, i.e., you ask the right questions that they weren't expecting, questions that make them look upon themselves and what's been happening in a different way and their future in a different way. That sets everything up. I think people maybe just get into a conversation about calories, macros, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why are we here though? Like, what is this? Why are we here? What's made these goals enough of a priority for you right now? And let them talk. Because it's like, what's the goal? That's cool, but why? Okay, got you, but why? Oh, I understand, but why? And if you get all the way down to like 4 whys, something down there will be emotional and painful, and it's normally from the past. Find that, bring it out and go, well, you've been carrying this for quite some time, let's fix it. that's probably the biggest mistake. If people get their discoveries better and more compelling and less in this high ticket closer world and actually talk to someone like an absolute human who is suffering, I think they'll do. Like, you can then cock up the whole presentation. Like, if you've got a Ferrari to sell or a McLaren, whatever, you could be a really bad salesperson and sell a hell of a lot of them because the people walking into it are emotionally connected to owning that thing. 100%. And I think it can be the same with fitness.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. I think a lot of people are flat on discovery. Very, very flat. And not even slightly, just very flat. So
I guess you get to see what happens as well, don't you?
yeah.
Like I've not really seen other people's sales calls. So I'm in a silo. I just know what we do. I don't know how other people tend to go around it and the depth and, what are they conveying as they do it. I'm guessing it's not quite the same.
I mean, I've reviewed a lot. James and our team's reviewed hundreds now as well. And it gets to a point where you're like, okay, is it actually the person have
they got it or not?
Yeah. Is we start to ask ourselves this as well, because like you can only say this like 50 times until they really understand it, right?
Yeah.
But then when you think of it, like literally everyone is trainable. We've seen it. We've seen people go from like a 20% close rate to 80 over like a month or so, right? And it wasn't a matter of them changing what questions they ask necessarily, because they can technically have a best set of questions, but it's more asking the right questions for the right person and how they ask that question as well, which really does make the difference. And then when they realize it's not just like reading off the script, it's not just surface level stuff to get to a pitch where they spend 10 minutes explaining the program, which no one gives a fuck about anyways.
No one cares. Because no one, especially more so now, given that no one needs more bloody information and knowledge.
Yeah, they think that sells more.
Yeah, because if we, and I said to people on the call, like a couple of people said, someone said to me, why do I need you to this? Why don't I just go to ChatGPT? I'm like, you could, and we've tried it. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, we've taken intake forms from our clients, we've put them into ChatGPT with all the information we've got and said, write us a food plan for that. We've taken that food plan out and the instructions, put it into a separate chat and asked it to do the same thing, completely different results. And we asked it to critique the one before it and it ripped itself apart. We're like, brilliant, there we go. So now we can't rely upon anything it's doing in there because it doesn't have the context. So we're not selling knowledge, we're selling context and understanding and human empathy and knowing what it feels like. Like AI will never do that. But I do over-explain our solution. But I over-explain it because at the same time, I'm diffusing bombs. And a bomb to me is if a bomb becomes undiffused and gets to the other side of the price, it's an objection.
Yeah.
So most of my presentation is me just systematically going through the bombs that I've found from the discovery, and any that I trip over along the way, diffuse it before I move on. Then once I've got to the how I present the actual price, someone's like, I'm not going to say it's a formality, but 100% close rate. So it's kind of a bit of a formality at that point, but the amount of effort and work that's gone in to get to the point where someone's just like, yeah, this just makes sense. I'm like, it should just make sense because of the way that we've laid it out.
Yeah, we call it silent objections. So if you can get all the silent objections
they're
out of the
there.
way, you don't have verbal objections.
They're the same ones. Like I remember one of the first ones that when I realized this was happening, when we were just selling to men, and they would be like, I need to ask my wife. And I'm like, ask her what? I'm like, what, to be a better man, husband, father? And they're like, oh, no, she's the one who does all the cooking. I'm like, right. So I need to she's on board with doing and I was like, oh, holy shit, I'd never thought about this. So now one of the first things I say when I talk about food is, you're going to tell us the food you like, the food you don't, meals you like, meals you don't, how food works in the home world, what's happening, what meals you like to eat as a family. Why don't we take those and just build them into the plan? Bomb, diffuse. They're thinking, oh, I don't need to worry about anything that's happening at home. And I just said, how many more of those bombs can I pre-find? And they're everywhere. They're littered all over the place. But there's maybe the same 5 or 6 that every human has. And you just kill those bombs off and then just go searching for any others as you go through it. Yeah.
100%. So moving on from that as well, what's the difference between a 30K a month business owner and a 100K a month business owner?
Grey hairs, stress. Do you know? I'd say weirdly, here's one of the things that I think weighs on me more, which is not more the desire to move forward. It's the fear of losing everything. Because I've lost a business before. I've had to liquidize a business before. I know what it feels like to go through that. And I think the more you build up, naturally, you know, might buy a property and a this and a that. And like you get yourself to a point where losing it is more painful than moving forward. But the difference in terms of what's actually happening to them, well, it's team. You know, you can get to, I mean, oh, goodness me, someone could trip over and make 100K a month. No disrespect to anyone who's trying to get there, but you will get there. You will make it. It's once you've done a few 10Ks, you'll be like, this is easy. Like, you know, we'll do 10K. People are doing 10K. People are doing 10K in a single sale. So it's possible. 30K is still, you know, you're probably still coaching yourself, I would say. I would imagine I was doing 40, 50K a month just from Facebook alone and still coaching. I had 87 clients. So I think what happens is the 30K person is probably still doing max delivery and maybe a VA, maybe another coach coming on board. You could get to 30, 40K a month and need only like three people, maybe 4 people at most. Getting from there to 100, one, you ain't going to coach them all. So now you need to be able to hire. So now we're talking about hiring and building a team culture, because the other reality is you're not all going to be sitting in a room together. You're going to be all around the world. So you've got to be able to create culture and vibe and a communal sort of passion to go and achieve the same thing when you never even meet these people half the time. That's difficult. That takes being a charismatic leader internally in your own business. So to get up to 100K, you need to understand that. Then there's like contractual law. Like there's other stuff that comes in, and you know, if some of that stuff goes wrong, it can go wrong quite big. So you've got to get other coaches in. Now you've got to let go of the fact that other people are coaching your clients. And so now you're handing off the fulfillment and the delivery of your program into other humans. So now there's trust. That's difficult, and that comes down to a really good hiring process and then ongoing training and KPIs. So that gets you out of the coaching. And then really, I'd say that's maybe the biggest difference, because you're still going to be the person probably doing most of the selling, like me at the minute, I'd imagine. But I think it's having bigger systems in place. You could easily rock up to sort of 30, 40K technically. But what gets you to 30, 40K does not get you to 100. Obviously, what gets someone to 100 doesn't get them to 500. Like, they're different skill sets to go up. But I think I'd say the biggest difference is the fact that you probably really would be, you know, technically not coaching at that point. So then what's interesting there is you've gone from being a coach, being a PT and loving it, to then starting your own coaching PT business, to then the coaching and PTing being the thing that you do nothing of. That's like being, I'm really good at making cakes. And I love, I actually would like to make cakes, you know, like I'm really good at making cakes, and everyone's like, oh, make us a cake. And yeah, I'll make a cake. Oh my God, they're amazing. You should start a cake shop. Oh yeah, I'll start a cake shop. So you start a cake shop, and then you end up, the thing that you do less of in your own cake shop is make cakes, bake cakes. Because what you're doing, you bring someone in to help you, then you're doing the bookkeeping, the ordering, the everything else around the thing. So the thing that you love the most of is the thing that you do less. And if you want to get to 100K, you need to be okay with that.
100%. I think it's the switch from being a busy coach to a business owner. And I can tell you, like, we've had many clients. We've had 18 clients between 100 to 250 plus a month, right? And it's so obvious. Like, the patterns are ridiculously obvious. Number one, pretty much everyone's stuck in the 20 to 50K range. Fulfillment is a big bottleneck, whether it's fulfillment right now or fulfillment at scale, right? It's one of those two. They're just spending too much time there. And second, they don't have a client acquisition system which they can put more into and get more out. So it's either they are able to like wing it off of organic referrals, something like this, right? And they're able to kind of hover inconsistently around that range, but they don't really have validated ads that they can push, which is like the scalable system. So usually I've seen that happen many times, right? Actually validated ads that they're able to actually put more into, get more out. And the biggest one is the data in between. So like this is something we skipped over quite a bit, but most people actually suck at tracking data and then being able to analyze data. As 90% of people, right? 90% of people come to us, have missing data, bad data, not enough data to be able to even know what to put more into and what hires to make, how to actually make those hires as well. And then that's usually like the biggest gap between getting to 80, 100, 150 plus.
Again, because you start off as a really good PT, and you can motivate people, and you can hold them accountable, and you can tell them their macros and coaching, and then it's like So hang on, what cost per booked call? Like, and it's a completely different thing. But then that's business. Yeah. Like people will say to me, "Oh, you have a coaching business." I'm like, "Yeah, I have a coaching business. What? I'm in the business of selling coaching." Technically, like because we can have a business coach, we can be a business coaching company, but if we can't sell, coaching itself, then we can't coach anybody. We have no business. So you kind of go from the point of being, I'm a coach, to I have a business that sells coaching. Technically, we still need to be really bloody good at coaching, otherwise we're stuck. But it's a different viewpoint. Some people understandably don't realize that that's going to be the shift, and also when they get there, they're like, oh, I don't want to focus on all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is what running a business is like. And I think that's a mental shift. And you don't know what you don't know. Like there's metrics that I'm learning about and things that we're tracking now that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And you can never have too much data, but then it's which bits are relevant to look at the moment. We can go into something like any ads manager and put out anything and shove it in a Claude dashboard and it's great. It's like, yeah, but there's only going to be one or two key numbers that you should be looking at, whether it's organic stuff, whether it's, if you're DMing, it's like how many cold DMs out per day, for example, how many get replied to, what's your reply percentage? Because that's a bottleneck. If that's like, think of people who are doing follower ads and they're doing DM, like ManyChat, if it even still bloody works, ManyChat automated replies. And it's like, well, how many people replied to that first message? Because we tried both. We tried, interestingly, we were doing voice notes and text. I thought the voice notes would work better. Voice note reply percentage was like 47, text was 67. And I'm like, that's interesting. I thought the voice note, my intuition is the voice note would be better. It's like 20% worse. Well, 20% over hundreds and hundreds of people is huge difference.
Very big.
But you don't know what you don't know until you start looking at it. Yeah,
I agree. And you touched on mental shifts as well. It was like the biggest thing I was thinking. A lot of people have a fear-based approach around their entire business.
Okay.
They got to like 30, 40, 50K a month purely based off of fear. And then the reasons change once there is no fear. So they have no reason to push forward to 100. So like
that's a dangerous, because then it's like that, isn't it?
So
I've done that. Like I've got to a point where I can remember, this is a long time ago, I remember before I was running ads, before we'd just gone online, we'd gone from like 15K a month to like 40 overnight, pounds, 40K. No ad spend, one VA, no one else, no spend. No word of a lie, my bank balance was it was literally doing this. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with all this money. Mm-hmm. I actually don't, within a couple of months, there's like, over 100K sitting in your bank account. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. And I invested it. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Yeah. There was the driving factor. I mean, I'm not saying it had disappeared, but again, you go past a certain point, you're like, well, what am I now trying to do? Now my world is slightly different, because if I don't make a certain amount of money, the overheads, staffing costs, the fact that I have property, live in a different country, ad spend, I know I have to make half my month is just making sure that wages and ad spend. Yeah. Like I have to go past, once I go past about the 15th of the month, I'm like, okay, maybe there's some profit now coming out the other side of that. Like, so there is a, I've got to get up and I've got to get the fuck on with it, because if I don't, this doesn't get paid, that doesn't get paid. And I think if that goes, then you're in trouble, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think everyone falls into a complacency factor, right? And it's not, and it's like myself as well, 100%. Like, do you need more numbers?
Let me turn this back around to you then. So don't give out numbers and stuff like that, but I imagine you're probably at a point where you're secure, you've got freedom, you probably don't need to work anymore. So what's now continuing driving things forward?
Of course, buying the third McLaren in cash. No, I'm joking. For me,
but there's only so many of them you can buy, and then it's like yachts. Where did you go?
No, I mean, the cars and stuff. Like, it was never a thing. It was like I never wanted cars, never wanted supercars. It wasn't like something I looked up to or anything like that, right? Yeah. It was actually more like, one of my mentors just told me, like, you should probably find out if you actually want one or not. Right?
As in, go get one and see if you like it.
Yeah, so I just
and then you did, funnily enough.
For the first one cash, loved it. For the second one cash. And then I was like, okay, so this, I love it, great. Is it a driving factor? Is it increasing my productivity, motivation around anything? no, nothing.
But you would just enjoy it. There's
I
nothing
enjoy
wrong
it.
with just enjoying something nice,
Yeah,
right?
and I was like, absolutely. I was like, okay, it's the first time I've not lived like a homeless person, basically, right? Because I wouldn't.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm turning this around now, but I don't know your. I know a little bit that you've worked super bloody hard from probably the moment you went off and studied. You've obviously put all time and effort into that, and then it's like, oh, there's life up here, so to speak, and then there's nothing stopping you going enjoying that, and obviously you are doing.
I mean, like for the first like 6-7 years, I didn't spend any money, right?
Yeah.
I literally did not spend any money. And when I say I didn't spend any money, I was living on about 750 quid a month because I was in Bulgaria during med school, so I could.
Yeah.
So it was like, and even at 10, 20, 30, 50k a month, my expenses and my lifestyle did not increase at all. So I just stacked a ton of cash, and then like the number in the bank account didn't really make a difference as to like how I felt about it or anything.
Yeah,
So
and
like,
that's good. Like no emotional connection to the digits, right? It's just
the
the reason people mess up with money is it's not money that's the problem. It's someone's emotional connection to the money, having it or not having it, right?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like if there is no like if I gain nothing from like more numbers in the bank account and like security is there, then I just continue doing what I did for the reason why I got started as well. It was just like I like building businesses, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just something I love doing, and it was just like, how good can I get at this? It's like just like any Olympic sport, right? Usain Bolt doesn't try and win another gold medal for the sake of getting another gold medal. He wants it because he loves it.
Can I get another point something off the number?
Exactly. And I think, business, making money is the only sport, let's say, which is villainized because money's attached and it can buy you real life things and buy you security, right? But
It's still a game though.
yeah,
Ultimately, at the end of the day.
100%. I believe it's like one of the best games you can play because in entrepreneurship, I think it's the only game that has such a significant difference in your beliefs, your values, your mentality, your actual frame. You have to be on the ball all the time, and you can't slip up because you will get left behind. Your business will die. Everything will collapse if you slip up. Like,
Well, this is the. So we know that if you want to be like getting, like we take it back to fitness. If someone's like, oh, I want to get abs, it's like, okay, cool, but the getting the abs thing is just that's a byproduct of the person you need to become to get them. Either not lazy, more disciplined. You need to become a different person. Same thing in business. If you're going to get to a point where you've got a business worth X amount or it's sellable or whatever, you've got to become a different person. You've got to become disciplined. You've got to be able to get up. You've got to be able to do the same boring shit over and over again, but better. And I think that's not easy, and that's where people fail, I think.
And I think it's just the traits that you build, right? It's like, how many traits can you stack up? Because at the end of the day, what do you really keep in this world, right? You die, everything gets either like, is it going to make a difference to your kids' lives, right? Maybe, like in terms of security, but no, not really. You're not
In three generations, no one's going to know who we are.
Yeah,
no one's going to even remember. There might be a dusty picture on a wall somewhere that no one even knows who it is. Right?
Yeah, and Hormozy was right. Hormozy is 100% right. It is like you're playing the game so you can find out who you can become.
Yeah.
Because like we're not the same people that were when we started business. Like it's clearly a game of just character building, and then past the security point, like I do think also there's an argument to being like, okay, how much do we have stacked up in investments to actually live? Because I do think a lot of people who get comfortable at like the 10, 20K a month range because their expenses are covered, they don't actually know that, maybe they won't have these months again. Maybe they won't be in business forever, right? Maybe they can't survive off this forever. So they also don't have the idea of like investing for the long term. So you have security. So the business isn't 100% of your income, right?
Yep.
And I think it's absolutely okay to absolutely ram it for active income while you can in your earning window, right? And then stack up as much in passive as you go, right? Just maximize your earning window. But for me, like in terms of the reasons why I go for it, like I genuinely, and I've said it from day one when I had no money as well, I genuinely just want to build the biggest charities I could possibly can, because like what am I really going to do with money in the end? Parents are like very well looked after. They're fine. So it's just a matter of like, is there bigger impact outside of just the business? Yes. So it's like,
And money
for.
allows you to have impact.
Exactly.
And I think this is, I can never say the word I can't pronounce it, but when you do
Philanthropic.
I can never say that word.
Me neither.
But ultimately, a lot of people who've done, gone to a certain point, it's like, well, I've made X amount of money. It's like, well, Elon overnight has become what, the first trillionaire as of this morning. Technically, he's the first trillionaire. That's 12 noughts, by the way, isn't it? I think.
The fuck is he doing this
Like,
for?
what is he going to do with that? Like, but it's past the point of that being even realistic. So, okay, that's a completely edge case, but you get to a certain point where I would like slightly different thing, but I've always said to Joe, my wife, I'm like, if I ever got to the point where I didn't work, I would volunteer my time. I'd volunteer my time in something that I deem to be useful. And it'd be a few different things, but earning the money allowed me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
so it still comes down to, money's not earning money, and a lot of it is not a bad thing. People who have done well earn a lot and have used it wisely. They've had to become a person and walk through glass to have got there anyway.
Yeah, and I would like to think that the thing that you're leaving behind is the values that you can deliver to someone else and the beliefs that you can deliver to someone else, as well as the impact that you can use money for as a vehicle to
do other things.
To do other things. Now, just to be super clear as well, I'm absolutely fine if people are like, okay, I just want to have these cars, just want to have these houses, I just want to buy all on this, right? If that's what people want to do, and if that's what drives them to get there, fine. Because at a certain point, everyone figures it out. It's just like how long.
That's not all that it's about.
Yeah. It's just like how long does it take? It's like they figure out at some point, right?
Yeah.
But if that's the driver, that's the driver. Now, the next thing is if we talk about it a lot as well, it's like the infinite game, right? We're not necessarily playing to win because there is no finish line.
Yeah.
It's just
staying in it.
How long are you in the game for? Because if you look at it as like what is your purpose and all of this, right? And we can go to spirituality, which is a lot longer of a topic, which is honestly I'll tell you now, it's like 40% of my time now. It's a heavy aspect, right? Now, if we go into like purpose of all of this as well, if we're not playing the game of business to win, if we're not playing the game of relationships to win, the goal isn't to get married and then that's it. The goal is to stay married, have a happy life. And you're not playing the game of health to win either. You're playing
to stay in health as long as possible.
Exactly. And if we're not playing the game of business to win and it's to survive, then it's like, what is the middle? What are you doing in the middle, essentially, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to play anyways, then first of all, you might as well be the best you can.
I was about to say, you might as well play at the best level you can.
Exactly.
Knowing that you can't win.
Yeah.
You're just playing to be better, just to get better, aren't you?
Exactly. And then the second thing is like after security, which honestly, I think if just to not sound completely out of touch, I think that is what most people are going for, right? Security.
People say money doesn't buy you happiness. It depends what your happiness is. That's the answer to that. But what it does get you is security. That is worth.
Exactly.
I've had security. I've lost it. I've had it again. I've lost it. It kind of comes and goes. Yeah. But I think security gives you peace of mind. With peace of mind, you make better decisions.
Exactly. Yeah. And after you are secure, right? I can tell you my thought processes around it. I felt very selfish at a certain point, being like my parents who have given me everything my entire lives and all of this, right? I felt very. I didn't feel great at all about not being able to retire them, right? Not being able to give them what I felt they deserved
to a point,
right? Yeah. So that was like, do I have enough money to do that? How much does it cost? And to retire your parents, you technically have to be able to give them investments where the passive income pays for their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because that's what actually retiring them is. It's not just giving them a certain amount per month because once again, is that reliable for them to completely retire? Probably not, right? Yeah. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing is, can I do that for myself? And then that, it just depends on how much you want to live off of, really, right? Do you have enough invested to pull out 5% per year and then be that is the income that you live your life off of? That would be the main thing that I think most people are working towards. And then the third is the impact for everyone else around you, which can be charitable reasons, which can be even any whatever stuff you want to build, schools or whatever it is, right? Is that something you want to go for? Great, then do that next, just so there is a reason for you to keep going.
See, that enough is to get you to wake up at bloody 5 o'clock in the morning and go, let's go. You need something, don't you? You're gonna need something to wake you up. And if it's not, all you're doing is ticking off hopefully one noble cause after another. Now, the first one is make enough to live, then it's make enough to be secure, then it's make enough to retire parents, and there's always going to be one more thing to go after. But then your impact is increasing. I think that's the. I
agree. And let's say most people listening to this, right? They're actually trying to get to a point where their head's above the water, regardless of how much they're making, because there's always some fear of losing it all, right? And in that case, it's just like how aggressive can you go in your earning window? It's like how much money can you humanly make in based on what you know and what you don't like. Can you go and find the information that you don't know to be able to make as much as you possibly can within the shortest time possible? Because it's the difference between working a 9-to-5 job, right? The reason why we're doing this is to compress the earning window so we can retire earlier, technically, right? and then
Is that a thing? I don't know what
retire meaning do the next thing, basically.
Yeah,
right? So it's just like, can you compress the earning window for active income so you have passive income as a security? So that on its own should be like, do you have enough money, basically, right? Do you have enough cash liquid? And then do you have enough invested? So it's like those two things I think most people skip, and they're just like, okay, heads above the water, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then they forget that, there is other stages to this, which is the actual stages that you're building for, but it doesn't feel like it when you're making enough money to cover your expenses.
And I think it's sometimes hard to see them, isn't it? Like it's not, you don't know what those stages look like unless you've know someone who's actively kind of going through them. And this is one of the reasons why people move to somewhere like this.
Yeah.
Because I got to a point in my little town in England where I was like by far the biggest fitness business anywhere close. I was like, that's not good for you. You come here and you're like nothing. Like you're like the smallest of small. And then you see, oh crikey, there's these things to go off and do. That I think people need a lot of, which is why I guess there's more fitness coaches living in Dubai than probably anywhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably now.
So I think we have 40 so clients in Dubai, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, just to wrap it up is what I forgot what we're going to wrap up. Final closing thoughts for you. If you were, not a very nice thought to think about, but like if you were to exit the world tomorrow, what one piece of advice would you want to leave for everyone going after you? Everyone left behind.
Hang on a second. So what would be my lasting piece of advice if I shuffled off the earth tomorrow?
Yeah.
In business, or are you trying to get, or
Overall?
That is a heck of a question. How long have I got? Not long, really. My lasting piece of advice. Okay, a couple of things. Find what you like do. Do you know what, actually? Here would be my piece of advice. And I've never done this, but I think this would be a good way to live your life. So this is the advice I'm giving myself because I've not done this. And I think the thing is called Ikigai. Because I was about to say, find the thing you love doing and go doing it, or go do it. Because it gives you purpose, like we've just been speaking about. But then I'm like, well, we need to make that into something more. So I think it's find the thing that you love doing, you'd probably do for free, the thing that the world needs more of, the thing that you can probably get paid for. There's a few, right? And where the thing crosses in the middle, you find that thing and you go do it. If you can work out what that thing is based on something like that, and you spend your life pursuing that, then I think that is a life well spent. Because this is no audition, right? We're here for a certain amount of time. Something's coming for us all at one particular point. First thing is push that as far away as we possibly can, and then spend the gift of time that we have doing something that allows us to benefit other people.
Couldn't agree more.
There you go.
Very great. Thank you for joining us, Andy.
Pleasure, as always.
We'll catch you soon. And that has been all from us today. Thank you for watching.